Hello, Cynthia. Oh, there's a pop-up. There we go. Hello, Cynthia Ganga with Cynthia Sings Classical. I was forced into a psychiatric hospitalization for the past month for the rectal tearing, the excruciating pain, and the explosive diarrhea. Being told that I am delusional still because I have excruciating pain on a daily basis. Probably 4 to 5 times a week. I can't get out of bed. I can't go to work. But I have to work because apparently I'm not disabled enough to get disability payments. So pissed, understandably, being told that I'm delusional when I have excruciating pain that causes flashbacks, and then being told that the flashbacks are anxiety, it's intolerable. I wish that when I had gone to the University of Alberta Hospital in January of 2009, after being anally raped by Wade Randall Benson in 2008 in December, that the police had fucking shown up. EPS, that's on you. And that the doctors would have done a rectal tearing exam or even a rape kit. But apparently that's not their policy. I haven't been able to get the FOIP file from the U of A hospital or from the police. Because apparently victims don't matter. So, as I try to kind of regain my sense of, being a human being, being treated like a human being, and I've lost both of my jobs, which wasn't a bad thing. Massage Me was making maybe like $180 to $200 per week. The other job was making me maybe $250 per week for the past 5 fucking months. Because they didn't want to run a business. They wanted me basically to support a business that didn't exist and be their staff on call, which is bullshit. When you promise someone a full-time position at 20 to 25 hours a week, which is full-time for a massage therapist, and I took 2 jobs like that, and I've been being paid less than $1,200 to $1,500 a month for the past 5 fucking months. Those are shit-ass businesses, and I got fired, but I shouldn't have stayed there. It's really hard when I start something to quit it. I lived in an excruciatingly abusive environment as a child, and having the brain injury and still having long-term effects from the brain injury makes it much harder to find work in a field where I get paid well. It also makes it much harder to trust people because I've been the victim of brutal fucking sexual assault so many times. And just like knowing that I really deserve more. Like I deserve, a good doctor. A doctor that doesn't tell me that disability, Sultanian, that disability is from my GP, except he can't figure out why there's explosive diarrhea and still blood in my stools because I don't have bowel cancer, but I've lost 42 pounds now in the past 8 months because the weight loss has started again. Um, I I can't take medication because the medication makes the constipation worse, which makes the rectal tearing worse, which makes the pain worse. So while I've had codeine, oxycontin, nebuprenorphine, something, I don't even know, none of that helps the pain. So I'm here because I have a permanent disability. I've had to cancel some supposed friends in the opera community because they kept telling me, it'll get better. At 14 years post attack, it's not going to get fucking better. At the point where I lost 40 pounds in 5 months last year because of the excruciating bleeding, profuse bleeding, and had to be hospitalized in Halifax because of it. I know that it's not going to get better. It's extremely hard to say when you're having a flashback. It's extremely hard to say when your kid committed suicide 2.5 years ago. No, it'll be 3 years ago now. And it's infuriating to deal with people that can't accept that, like, this idea of positivity toxic culture is not reality. For someone with a long-term disability, who can sing fucking brilliantly and doesn't want to be paid shit, uh, by singing, at Edmonton Opera or whatever the fuck it is here, um, it's very frustrating because I would like to be able to travel. I would like to be able to be paid appropriately, which is at least $80,000, um, at a full-time job. And Edmonton does not offer those kinds of jobs. Edmonton offers fucking shit ass jobs at fucking shit ass malls. If I was going to go weld again, I could probably make some money. I could probably meet some drug addicts. I could probably get assaulted again because that is the pipeline. But for educated people who are intelligent and capable, there is very little work that is even remotely well paid. Need to find a remote job because going to work every day sometimes is really, really, really physically hard because it's hard to walk. The rectal tearing will happen when I walk too much. It the pain comes intermittently. Sometimes it's excruciating even when I'm at work. And I'm supposed to be in healthcare, and that makes it harder because people in healthcare don't really seem to respect one, registered massage therapists who've been practicing for 22 years, two, actual real lived experience of a victim of crime that is still having long-term effects from that attack. This is me. I put on my Instagram CSA, childhood sexual assault, and spousal anal rape victim. There is a difference between being a victim of crime and having those long-term effects and not calling yourself a survivor or a thriver and making it a feminist bullshit motion because that's garbage. I still deal with the physical effects of that rape. Um, I've been sexually abused multiple times at gunpoint when I was a child. I've been told that I've been delusional by the psychiatrist. Dr. Thomas Rennie Leeper was forcing me to hug him every time I left the office in 2020, 21, when I was still seeing him in person. And I stopped the medication a year and 2 months ago. Um, and while I was told that I was hallucinating, having delusions, being aggressive, being insane, and a danger to myself and others, when I was suffering from excruciating pain and flashbacks, when my best friend called the ambulance, it would be great for them to fucking write down that I had been raped and that I was suffering from rape flashbacks. But of course, the medical system doesn't actually look at that. They just look at uh, pain that is unidentified, is obviously insanity or delusions, made up by me because, I don't want to work, except I'm not allowed to go on disability because having 14 years of excruciating pain, explosive diarrhea, losing 40 pounds in 5 months isn't a serious illness. So, and if I don't follow their directions, which is to take antipsychotics, brain injury medication, uh, and anti depression medication when I don't have a mood disorder and I don't have bipolar and I'm not schizoaffective, means that I can't even approach the idea of getting disability. Do I think that the vote matters? No. Rachel knew Wade Randall Benson, and she knew that he had raped me as of 2012. And she doesn't give a fuck. Like she's just as bad as whatever that idiot's name is. That's Sarah Palin. Um, I've been I've been blocked from Twitter. Let's say 3 weeks ago, because I said that the people from Love Island are probably notorious syphilis spreaders, which is true. Um, and then they were like, "You should apologize," and I was like, "What? No, I don't need Twitter. You can fuck off." A lot of the internet seems to be being policed by people who are dickheads, Zuckerberg, Elon, on, I don't even know who the fuck owns Reddit. I don't know what his name is. I know that he's married to the black tennis player, Venus Williams or Serena Williams or whoever. But like, I don't know. I don't even write on there because it just seems so like I'm too old. I'm too old at 41 to be writing bullshit on Reddit. Really bullshit anywhere. So I'm not on socials a lot. Instagram's still there. My YouTube is still there. My Facebook, I guess, will stay there. I can't use Twitter anymore because apparently Love Island people are totally free of STIs and nastiness and just being shitty people. So yeah, I have an exam and I have to find a fucking job and I have to make more money than I've ever made this year, so I have to have two fucking full-time jobs. Because I can't do Edmonton anymore. This is bullshit, and I'm not willing to do this to myself anymore. I came back thinking that this was going to be, I mean, it is actually better than Halifax. Halifax is a shithole. And Karen stole money from me, and Renee is stupid, and I don't have time for it. And us, my supposed friends, all basically like, we're not actually real friends, except for Rachel, who is a human being. I don't like having money stolen from me. I don't like people saying, I'm in a bad situation, so can you help me? Because I'm not fucking doing it anymore. I don't give to charity anymore, other than the war amps. Um, and yeah, uh, I'm I'm mad as fucking hell, and it isn't gonna get better. And thinking positively about having rectal tearing and rectal bleeding and explosive diarrhea isn't going to fucking fix it. So, everybody can fuck off with their toxic positivity. I'm going to play some technicals, some etudes, my piano repertoire. I'm going to do this exam online. I'm going to do a piano exam every 6 to 8 months. I'm going to do a voice exam every 6 to 8 months. Um, so that I can get the fuck out of Dodge. Because this is not helping. Like at all. Um, having very, very few real friends, having people that are really, really, really weird call you friends is frustrating. I think it's just partly what Edmonton is. Like, Edmonton is a very redneck culture. It's a very uneducated culture. It's a very make money in the trades, but don't think about how the world actually works because most people never go on holidays. I mean, they might go to Phoenix, they might go to Mexico, they might just stay with their own friends when they do those things, and definitely in like hotels that aren't very good hotels, but they don't actually like travel or learn or care. And that becomes extraordinarily frustrating. When I was at the hospital, we had a volunteer who was an engineer. She was a master's of mechanical engineering. And she told me that her son was going to do AI, artificial intelligence, at the U of A in his master's degree because it's one of the best schools in the world. And I was like, okay, so like, have you heard of Harbin in China or MIT or Stanford? She's like, no, I've never heard of those, but I know that my son is right because there is a diabetes research thing at the University Med School. What the fuck does that have to do with AI? And why are you so fucking dumb? And at that point, I just had to write, you don't make any sense, and I can't be here anymore because the quality of things in Edmonton is so lacking. And I am not a lacking person. I hated Halifax because people were really passive aggressive and very like okay with being used and abused. And they were okay with being poor, like fucking poor, like maybe $15 to $20 an hour poor and just not getting better jobs or educations. But no one actually went to work. They were like, I'm going to be on Pelgi. Well, that's fine, but like, don't ever think that people will actually, care about you because you don't fucking do anything. Like, if you have real disability, that's fine. But if you're just lazy and you just don't do anything, why would I even fucking care? I have to have two jobs now. I have to work at least 80 to 90-hour weeks. I have to get a designation that allows me to work remotely, probably in finance, um, and so that I can do massage, at a proper clinic. I really don't want to have to move to Calgary. Calgary and Edmonton are the same fucking thing, except it's more like toxic redneck wealthy positivity down in Calgary. like new age grifters. There's a lot of new age grifting in Calgary. It's more than the stupid toxic positivity of the trans people here. Anyway, that other woman, the stupid woman who was volunteering, was like, I mean, the Edmonton Opera or the Edmonton Symphony is the best. And I was like, yeah, Ucheda, the concertmaster, is good. Not very many other people who play there are very good. And she was like, what are you comparing it to? The New York Phil? The New York Phil is good. The Boston Symphony is good. The Vienna is good. The Berlin is good. London, good. Paris, good. Well, I mean, I don't think we have the money for that. No, the thing is that most musicians don't make a lot of money, maybe 80 to 120,000 a year if you're in an orchestra, a lot more if you're in a big orchestra, like a well-known orchestra. But the reason why people don't come here is because it's shit. If you're going to work with a good conductor, if you're going to work with a good concertmaster, if you're going to work with good fellow colleagues, you move. I've had probably 20 good musicians come here and leave within 2 years. Great cellists, okay pianists, because I mean, I know exceptional pianists. Um, Ucheda is good, but I mean, obviously he's moving on because Edmonton is not a place where you settle. I mean, if you settle in Edmonton, you're settling for a lot of things. You're settling for a low wage. You're settling for shitty colleagues. You're settling for a political system that is so redneck and inundated civically with people who literally have no common sense, no fucking common sense, um, and are extremely liberal, but like in a sort of like gaslighting liberal, we're going to make everything safe because we're going to give trans people exclusive rights to not wear bathing suits. How does that actually make anything better? That doesn't make sense. And you know that I have a trans child. So it's not the fact that I hate my own child, it's the fact that that doesn't make any fucking sense. When people, especially natives, are allowed to carry fucking daggers to like stab cops or stab people, and then the cop pushes them down, and then fucking like the bear paw society or whatever the hell she is like, oh, well, she didn't have a knife. There's videos of her like a fucking, the blade was like 7 inches long. Like, oh, well, she needs it for safety. No, she needs it to stab people. Why the fuck are these people not in prison? The bus system is a meth and crack den. And I mean, at least the transit union head was like, hey, this is bullshit. Why are the Bear Paw Society clan, whatever fucking shit, handing out drug paraphernalia on the bus, on the train, when these people are dangerous? Like, you guys are so stupid. Social workers are so dumb. And like, want to be good leaders within the native communities are like, hey, you know what? You're fucking on drugs. You're not coming back. You're not coming back on res. You're not coming back to our traditions because you've chosen that you want to be addicted. And that is absolutely a choice. I had a really toxic white trying to be native woman tell me that it was a mental illness that I had rectal tearing and bleeding and excruciating rectal pain. Because, she's a fucking LPN, licensed practical nurse, which is a 2-year diploma. Don't even at me. Like, I don't have time for your bullshit. One, you didn't finish med school. Two, you didn't fellowship in anesthesiology after a 5-year residency. Uh, Three, you're a fucking LPN. What right do you have to tell someone that has chronic debilitating pain and flashbacks that it's all imaginary and in their head? You can fuck all the way off. But what she was doing was she was talking to one of her lackeys, student nurses, about the treaties. Well, there's no reason for the treaties because the treaties weren't upheld because they were done under false pretenses. If you sign a contract and it's not actually authentic and you're not being authentic with it, doesn't exist. Um, but also she was like, where do you do the sweats? How many sweats a week do you do? Like, I really want to go. I was like, yeah, it's not a thing that you like do because it's fun. It's a spiritual thing that, like, you're a fucking white woman trying to pretend she's native. No one's going to invite you because you're going to bullshit Christianity people. And that's the residential schools, is the bullshit Christianity and, like, the destroying of culture. So why would I ever tell you anything? Anyway, but not just anyway, like, that is toxic. It's toxic medicine. Like, why are you having sweats at a fucking psych ward? It's bullshit. I don't get it at all. And you don't get it, and you're selling it as spiritualism, but it's not, because you know full fucking well that people that are hallucinating and actually delusional probably shouldn't be in a really hot room praying to Jesus when it's a native tradition. You guys are all fucked up. There was mice. Holy fucking hell! There was like four mice in my room. There was shit, like actual mouse shit on one of the cupboards. It was absolutely disgusting. The food was frozen. Like, literally, I think there was like six times when the fruit was actually physically frozen. The food was uncooked. They would send raw stuff that hadn't been cooked. It was disgusting. That place needs to be absolutely condemned and shut down. I do not respect psychiatry, because when you are dealing with physical pain and uh, flashbacks and excruciating emotional pain from having been a victim of crime since you were three, they'll just tell you that you're delusional. So I really don't recommend going and seeing a psychiatrist. Most psychologists here are dumb. They go to the same program, they do the same feminist bullshit, they do the same social work bullshit. Because it seems like the university here, especially like the Christian universities, have no logic. I mean, they're Christian, so they have no logic. But also, the education system seems to allow people who really should not be in caring professions to be in caring professions and really not actually do anything effective. Um, yeah, it's not just complaining. It is trying to get my head wrapped around the fact that, like, I I should be able to, like, have funding to do my high school upgrading instead of being told I'm delusional. I do have a high school diploma, and I have a severe brain injury, and I have chronic, sorry, complex post-traumatic stress disorder and rape trauma syndrome. And the psychiatrist at the hospital said that I was delusional because how would you be able to be a massage therapist if you didn't have high school? Because Jagadev doesn't listen. And Dr. Latif is from Pakistan, so, like, he's not real. There was a doctor at the Grey Nuns who was Nigerian who said I was hallucinating and delusional. And I explained everything that I was saying, and it makes sense. Like, I was planning on going to Face Links, which is a drawing program for forensic profilers and forensic sketch artists with the U.S. Government. I've been with OVC Tech for 4 years, but I've been a victims advocate for 21. Um, and instead of anyone listening to that, they just said, "Oh, well, you think you helped the FBI to solve murders?" And I was like, I was actually going to a class with an OPP member, Ontario Provincial Police, who teaches how to draw forensics for collecting dead bodies and for victims who have seen their perpetrator, and are often children or so traumatized that they will give that sketch artist what they saw so that I can draw it from their memory. Um, I don't know if I'm going to still take that class. I can draw exceptionally well, but unless you pay me $1 trillion, I really don't give a fuck about anything right now. I just care about music. I care about having enough money to live. And I don't know if that work would actually help police or just hinder police, because I seem to find that police here in Edmonton are really fucking stupid. Yeah, is that everything? Well, it just goes on, right? Because my life isn't mine. My life, I'm being told that I'm delusional and incapable, and lost my job, and now I have to find another fucking job. Hopefully a better fucking job. Um, so I will find my books. They are over there. And I will realize one day that Edmonton is a shithole, and that I just need to leave permanently. 4 weeks ago, I think, I went speed dating. Oh my goodness, that was disappointing. The men were all bald, short, Asian, ugly, you know, the typical fat fuck who runs a fucking golf course, the typical drunk alcoholic who runs a fucking golf course, men who think that they are attractive, and they're maybe like twos on, you know, any scale that isn't Edmonton. Um, it was so sad because it's like all the women there were like, holy hell, this is so disappointing. And all the men were like, I'm really important. No, you're not. You're fucking in Edmonton. If you're really important, you would be here. But it's sad because it's like I've been single for all except for 2 years of the past 14 years. And I just keep meeting garbage. And I do think that it is because I live in rural. Well, I mean, I consider Edmonton rural. It's about 1 million people, but it's not really a city. Um, it's just a meth and crack den. That like you're trying and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm exceptional. I am a caring person. I deserve someone at least remotely attractive. And then you meet fucking garbage, and it's like I can't do this. Like, why am I meeting fucking garbage? Why am I meeting men who don't actually have proper work? Why am I meeting people who think that at 35 I would be willing to not look at getting married or be manipulative financially? Because remember, I quit Finalytics, part owner, through my ex business partner. And again, apparently I was delusional because I don't want to work with Salman, the Prince of Saudi Arabia, because he's a fuckface and he married Khashoggi. Like, the psychiatrist was like, you're making that up. I'm not making that up. I've done business with that asshole, not him, but my ex business partner for 19 years, and it's been nothing but bullshit. I haven't made a lot of money because it always either falls apart or he steals things. And then, me being way too trusting, I actually think that when he comes back into my life begging me for money again to invest, that something will change, and nothing fucking changes. Um, yeah, I'm really done. I literally just wish I could stay home and never ever go outside. It's minus 27 today, which is bullshit. Well, I mean, if you don't do things in the winter, then you'll be sad. No, if I don't do things in the winter, I won't get fucking frostbite because it's way too fucking cold to live here. Like any normal person wouldn't live in that weather. Yeah, I got some price quotes to go to Paris for the year to learn French fluently at the Sorbonne. I got some price quotes to travel around Italy for a year, like 5 different cities in a year, to be able to learn Italian fluently and work with some really, really great people in opera. So I think that that's like the next plan after I get some finance designations because I can't work for property wages anymore. Yeah, I guess we're gonna do some spells. There is. Oh, I have to get rid of that fucking piano in my living room. So we had an investor. My friend's investor. She used to own a mortgage company. She, is Nouveau Riche in Edmonton. She lives in the neighborhood, in my neighborhood. And she gave us this piano that is totally, totally shit. But I didn't know because I was like, I expect that when people say, oh, it's a good piano, that it actually is. So I had it assessed maybe 3 years ago. And because I have been at school in Halifax the past year, I didn't get rid of the piano, and I felt guilty because she was like, "You should really keep it because it's such good quality. And we're giving it to you for free." The thing doesn't even keep a tune because it was so badly uh, restored by someone, of course, in Edmonton, and they bought it for like $5,000, and I was like, "You're fucking idiots! Why would you buy something for $5,000 that's basically worth like 200?" But I mean, they don't know. And of course, their son was a I think he finished musical theater or acting or something. And he was like, "This is a great piano," and I was like, "Yeah, if you want to play out of tune." Like, I don't even understand. Oh my god. Okay. That was bad fingering. Separated by a sixth. That's not terrible. That was good fingering. Formula pattern 2 octaves. Nope, that's not it. Formula pattern 4 octaves. That's really low. Okay. No. Triads. I have to do. It is dusty. It feels very dusty. Okay. But like not dusty ass, just like physically dusty. Four note. That's hard because that means that I have to play so low. Four note. I can do this. Alternate note pattern. Hmm. Oh, no, I'm not so dumb, but not the piano. The piano's not dumb. It's just like it's so hard to be told that you're delusional and hallucinating when you actually have extreme pain. And there is documentation to back up the right from the police, but why would the police and the hospital actually fucking work together? They're now all hiding because they can't find the fucking flight files because they don't fucking care. There was even a police report that there was even a request for a rape kit in 2009. Anyway, I actually don't. I don't understand how people get paid for this bullshit. No, that's not no, that's wrong. So, I didn't know that it got that loud, so that's good. Because it wasn't working before. But the only thing that I feel is just disappointment in like life. It's not because I'm depressed. It's just because I'm being honest about like experiencing excruciating physical pain and then experiencing extreme trauma as a child so that I mean it was normal in my house to be thrown down the stairs. It was normal to be smashed into walls. It was normal to get beaten, not just with a belt, but like a fucking huge, like it was a huge fucking paddle. That is considered normal in Trini culture, and I don't subscribe to that. I would have never hit my kid. I would have cared about him had he not committed suicide. Um, it is so. One of the things that the doctor said I was delusional about was in 2012. I mean, we all know this story. In 2012, I sent Her Majesty the Queen a coloring book for Harry because he was bitching and complaining that no one loved him when he was cheating on Chelsea in 2012. Um, and I got really mad because I was like, I'm going through a fucking rape case and the police can't even fucking show up to a fucking rape kit at the University of Alberta Hospital. And now I'm being told that there's nothing wrong with me. I have to go back to work and I'm having, I mean, the pain back then was like I couldn't even stand most of the time. I couldn't sit. All I could do was lie down and cry. So I was like, you know what? You fucking have the audacity, motherfucking pockets are full of audacity, to say that you're unloved, yet I'm not even able to get proper care as a victim of crime by the police or the hospital, and you're fucking complaining? So I sent this vagina coloring book. It's called The Coloring Book by T. Kareen. To Her Majesty with the instructions that she get him to sit down and color it instead of chasing cunts all around the world. So I made that joke to the psychiatrist when I was in the hospital, and she was like, "Who are you calling a cunt?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, he sleeps with hookers all the time because he can't actually have a normal relationship because he's all weird about his mom dying and shit, and he's dumb. So no one who is intelligent wants to date him." Um, and I mean, Chelsea's really quite intelligent, but I mean, they had a very dysfunctional relationship from what the media shows. And I mean, she should be very, very happy that she's smart enough not to marry that dickhead. But she was just like, "You're delusional. How do you know them? Do you know them personally?" I was like, "No, I don't know them personally, but I mean, I know musicians who work at RCM, RAM. I know people who have sung for them, who have played for them. Like, I know people." And she was like, "You're insane." And I was just like, you know what? Like, just because you've been in the shitty fucking shithole of Alberta, and she actually lost her practice because she was just being a bitch. And it was in Millwoods, it was a private practice. And then she got a cushy job at the University Hospital, which is notorious for abusing people, notorious for electroshock notorious for not giving a fuck about its patients, and overrun with mice, and doesn't even fucking cook the food. So, I'm being told that I'm insane for making a joke and delusional for making a joke because it's funny. It's funny now that he's fucking written a 700-page book about who he slept with in his penis. And I sent a coloring book. And that doesn't make me dysfunctional or rude. It just makes me foresighted. Um, anyway, I literally hate people here. Like, I, I'm okay with being friends with Brandon, but it's like, it's sad, right? Because he's a good filmmaker, and the Skinner movie is fucking garbage, and it's being touted by the CBC and, all these kids, Gen Zers, and millennials, who are like, "This is amazing." I'm like, watching a fucking movie about a hallway? You guys are so stupid. Like, why do you not actually get that this is garbage? But of course, it's being promoted as the best thing out of Edmonton, and it made, for the promoter, it made $1.8 million. The Kyle and Iman or whatever sold it for like 25,000 or 50,000 or something. They made no money. I mean, they covered their expenses, but it's a shit ass movie. Point being is that Brandon gets really sad because like he keeps fundraising and doing like GoFundMe's and all these things because most of the filmmakers in Edmonton are dickheads, like motherfucking dickheads. Either they're porn or they're just dickheads because it's a community where being an asshole is promoted. Like it's not. I mean, and I actually don't think that that good movies or music or art has to be dickheads. Um, Sometimes people are harsh about their standards, but they don't necessarily need to be like, sexually abusive or like just complete jackoffs. Oh, my hair. Maybe it's just me. It obviously is just me. Major, we will do another one tomorrow. We will play. And I'm not going to memorize these for the exams. I just don't see the point. I'm going to maybe do the Clyburn Amateur in 4 years, but if I practice every day and work hard and just make sure that I'm taking care of myself, like not work hard all the time, just when I'm at the piano, and really like processing what it is to be a musician that um, hasn't been able to audition because of extreme brutal pain and flashbacks and court cases involving rape. And then being aged out of anything that would be even demonstrative of my abilities, it's excruciatingly frustrating. Because I see people that, are fat, lazy, obese, disgusting, and they're being touted as the new thing in opera, but that's not reality, because if you can't walk across the fucking stage, you can't actually fucking sing. And people are gonna at me like you're a bitch and you have your own like mental health issues because you're being making fun of fat people. I'm like, no, at 300, 400 pounds, you can't do the physical job. I talked to a bitch. Her name is Allison Bolshoi, and she was being a cunt and trying to trauma bond me. So I deleted her. But she was like, I'm very happy with, being sold as sex. And I was like, that's good because you're like 55 and you're not sexy. That's like it's an old trope. Um, being confident, being capable, being honest about the actual industry of classical music and being very, very poor in classical music without, selling you not wearing her clothes, and not being particularly attractive, but playing really fast and technically proficiently, but without any kind of artistry or emotion, is very much what classical music has become. And I don't actually, I think it's partly a Hollywoodification, but I also think that it's just like there's a lack of understanding of how hard it is to actually like live and be honest about what you're living. How are you today? I'm fine. Like I'm just fine. So at the hospital they would ask how I was, and I was like, I'm a 10 out of 10. I'm fine. I'm here. I have to do this. I'm being forced to be here for 4 weeks. Under the guise that I'm delusional and hallucinating and crazy. And then they would be like, we didn't call you crazy, you're saying that. I was like, no, you're making me be here because apparently having pain and flashbacks is hallucinating and delusional. So you are, in effect, calling me crazy by not allowing me to live my life and you don't work. Um, it's sad. I mean, it's sad. But the classical music industry is also I'd like to play really well. I'd like to play instruments really well. I'd like to not have to pay. So when I had you on as a teacher, she would literally just complain to me for like 40 minutes about Edmonton and then ask me to play and tell me I was wasting her time. Yet I was paying her $60 an hour. You can fuck all the way off, because that's not okay. I wasn't as good as her prodigy students because she's living vicariously through them. She was fighting with the University of Alberta about not getting hired or interviewed for a position to become a faculty member. But it's also because she's mean. And she doesn't think that she's mean, she just thinks she's Bulgarian. But when you are stealing money from a student by complaining about Edmonton for 20 to 40 minutes a lesson, um, you're just not a good teacher. And I mean, the University of Alberta is not a place where good people work. So I don't know why you would be there. But anyway, whatever. able to play above a 60 to 70 beats per minute because my body wouldn't coordinate itself when I was on psychiatric medication for pain in my anus. Um, and that's extremely frustrating because I know a lot of people that get lied to about psychiatric medication, um, saying, it'll make you a better musician, it'll make you more productive. The thing is that art isn't made by being productive. Art is made by feeling and care and technical proficiency. Um, I have never ever found a music teacher that had those qualities. I have found people who are washed up. I found people who are brutally verbally abusive. Tasha from Heather's studio um, in 2006 was actually in the hospital with me in the psych ward, and she was still a mess, from Heather verbally abusing her and sexually verbally abusing her. But Heather teaches at Mount Royal now in Calgary because no one actually has the stand up ness to say, you know what, you're fucking being abusive. You can't teach here. You can't teach ever. Because classical music is a lot about abuse. It's not about artistry. It's not about music. It's not about technical proficiency. It's especially in singing. It's a lot about like who do you know, what can you sell, um, and how fat can you be, and how like disgustingly obese can you scream, which is not at all. I mean, I don't have a big voice. I know that there are people that are bigger, but I mean, they're not grotesquely obese that can sing. When everybody compares people to Pavarotti. Pavarotti had cancer for like 12 years, I think, and the medication that you go on when you have long stage pancreatic cancer causes you to notoriously gain weight. I've met people who have gained 2 to 250 pounds on that specific medication. He also ate disgustingly and didn't really take care of himself. But when people are comparing a voice to a physical body, that isn't really how that works. I'm actually able to play and coordinate my body better now than I've been on meds for a year and about a month. Um, and I'm so grateful to not being considered insane or delusional or hallucinating by doctors who literally don't give a fuck about me or my abilities. Yeah. Oh, and they were like, you say that you can read minds and you read minds and that's your job. And I was like, yeah, like I read body language. I am a massage therapist, but I also have worked with victims of crime for 21 years. So I can read the body language that someone is not telling me something because they're fearful. As a person that has experienced grotesque sexual violence since 3 years old, it's really important to be able to read a room. It's really important to be able to say, hey, you know what, those mannerisms are not right. What that person has on their facial expressions because they're thinking about a manipulative tactic is not right. And instead of psychiatrists especially being schooled in that, they just are schooled in, oh, you have chronic pain and we aren't actually going to give a fuck, so we're going to tell you you're delusional and hallucinating, is not helpful. Not helpful at all. I've heard that empathy is a chronic trigger reaction. It is a traumatic learning habit. It's not. Empathy is a good thing. That is very psychiatric. Um, Being an empath also is not a trauma reaction. It is caring. It is caring about self and others in spite of being repeatedly violated. I really think that there's a lot of very, very, very toxic people that work in both psychology and psychiatry, um, and extremely lazy people who work in victims services and victim That was hard. I haven't done that one for a long time. B flat melodic minor. Okay. No. Yeah, no, it is right because it's minor, so it's up going down. F sharp harmonic minor. F sharp melodic minor. My hands. My hands are much stronger now that I don't have someone looming over my back, trying to watch me not play properly because she's a lunatic. There's a point. So on I'm on this terrible cellist group. It's called International Cellist Somethings. And basically, they just bully their students. They will watch for students saying something wrong and saying something that isn't necessarily how it's done in classical music. And then they'll bully them on this private chat group. And so one of these guys is from Yale. He went there to school maybe in 2000, 2006. So he's about my age, maybe 45. And he's just a dickhead. Carlos Avila, something. Anyway, so I was like, there was a person that was asking, I'm a beginning cellist. What does this have to do? This seems not very helpful. What's the problem? And I was like, well, mostly it's because they say that they're taking the music from the IMSLP instead of actually denoting who was the person that published it originally. And then he just yells at me. He's like, you're the problem with classical music. And I was like, well, what? I'm not a cellist. I actually thought the group was like about good cellists, but instead it's about Hauser. So like good cellists, Steve Arzulis, Mr. Rostropovich, Jacqueline Dupre, people that were good at their instrument, people that worked, people that put effort in, people that had artistry innately. Anyway, this guy was being such a dickhead, and I actually haven't found a lot of teachers who don't do that. One, they think that they should be making $200,000, $300,000 for something that is maybe $50, $60 at an affordable price point for students, and then they get mad that their students can't afford it. But instead of like increasing their value, increasing their ability to teach, decreasing the students' time that they need to be taking lessons from this asshole, they just complain that, it's all the students' fault instead of I'm a bad teacher. I don't teach. I had an old boss that used to be like, oh, well, maybe you can be a music teacher if you like music so much. And I was like, well, a music teacher at my level would make like $20, $25 an hour because one, I'm not capable of teaching very well. Two, I don't like kids. I'm not a big fan of children. Like I like my own children, but like other people's children, you can fuck all the way off because I'm not here for that. Second of all, I don't like Asians. I think Asian tiger moms are really hard to deal with on a daily basis, and I don't want to do it. And most people can't afford to put their kids in music lessons unless they are Asian tiger moms. A lot of kids don't want to practice anything that is classical. They want to practice um, like repetitive computer music, like video game music, which is fine, but it's not what I teach. Um, and so many teachers are just failed pianists, and that doesn't help at all because if you're not doing it because you actually are good at teaching, you just become most of the teachers that I've found. I guess I have to teach myself, which is extraordinarily frustrating because I really don't think that I have a lot of the technical skills to do that. But that's where I'm at. So I'm practicing. Play the four octave version and each one Gross. Just thinking about gross people in my past. Gross. Attitude is gross. Let's do that again. should get a I just wish Edmonton wasn't Edmonton. But it is Edmonton. And this is bad. It's too expensive to live here. Montreal, McGill is all Asians now. And so, not good Asians. Just, usual Wang Asians, Wang Asians. Most people want to make money, so I literally just want to be a good musician. I got told that because she has a Deutsche Grammophon contract, that obviously Usually is very, very good. Lang Lang, same thing. I was just like, no, they just sell shit. And that's really a lot of what capitalism and music is. How much garbage can you sell? Or people get tired of your fucking nonsense. What am I selling? I guess I'm selling being being unhappy. Bit of that. It's just like the reality of shit. Let's see. So I'm still having trouble with memorizing everything that's above the staff, above an A or a C, and everything that's below the bottom staff. I used to get yelled at a lot or like scolded that I wasn't paying attention by Ilana, but like that doesn't actually help you learn. That just makes you more fearful that you're always going to be corrected when you're not able to do something because of a brain injury. So I'm going to work gently and caringly at music, and trying to find reasonable people to be friends with that aren't fucking stupid and on the crack that is Edmonton. People here like literally think that it's a normal place. They just don't get that it's not. And like I've lived abroad enough to know that like people when they ask where I live, they're like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, well, because I can afford to live here, and until I have proper paying work, I can't really afford much. So yeah. Oh, 15 minutes, like 40 minutes of being angry. this annoying thing from this woman who used to be my choir director at church, and she kept wanting me to sing as a light lyric coloratura. I'm not at all. That's not my voice. And sing like really pitched up, like very squishy sounding. Not what I do. But she gave me this like, God will watch over you. The thing is that God doesn't exist, so God can't watch over me because He's not there. And it's annoying. It's like my mom has tried to make me go to church for a very, very long time. She'll continually like volunteer me for things at her church now in Courtney, like singing there. When I'm not ready, I'm not prepared for it, so that she can bring me out there and like show me off. And I don't like it. It makes me really uncomfortable. And no matter what you say to my parents, they just don't listen. And people, because my parents are very small and very agreeable, and they're really good at hiding the abuse. People will be like, "Oh, but don't you think they care about you?" And I was like, "No, because if they cared about me, I would have never been taken away by social services." Um, it still really affects me because like I've never had like a loving parent figure. Either of my parents and my aunts, they're absolute cunts. My white aunts, holy fucking hell. My white uncles, all drunks. Like, they're happy drunks, but like, I've never spent a Christmas with them until I was like 14, and then I stopped going. Where they just were actually fucking drunk off their rockers. Like, they can't even communicate at some point. Like, it's so sad. I do think it's like an age thing. Like, I think it's just a boomer thing, being really selfish, but I also think it's a real Alberta thing. And I don't really acknowledge a lot of my family because most of them are a mess. Like, most of them are really, both my white and brown family. Um, Not because I haven't tried, but because it's like, because I'm an introvert, because I take everything very seriously and I like am really easily emotionally injured. And I watch people do fucked up things with their lives all the time in my family. I'm just like, oh, your life's a piece of shit. Why the fuck are you in my life? Like, I don't have the patience anymore to give a damn about why you're yeah, it's sad. It's sad not having family. Like, having authentic people who will actually be there for you. I can't even really say that Brandon's family. I mean, because he's like a friend, but he's not capable of like really deep care. Um, my parents are really good narcissists, so they're really good at like love bombing and like savioring and being the saviors. Um, they came 1,500 kilometers for really no reason. After I was put in the psych ward, um, because it's like that's what they do is they save Cynthia, and now they have some more stories about like, oh, Cynthia's sick. Let's make sure Cynthia's better. And when I asked them, when I explained to my dad that like being watched constantly when I'm playing piano is a trigger for me, that when I was being watched as a child in the 80s as a rape victim and by my rapist, um, to try to abuse me again, that it really, really triggers. I mean, it is unsafe. It's not triggering anything. It's not inside of me. It is that is unsafe in my experience. And that when my dad would watch me play piano, I wasn't sure if he was going to attack me, or if he was going to sexually abuse me, or if he was just going to hit me again. And so when Joanna kept standing over me and being like, "Why do you not feel safe? I'm here to be safe, and I'm here to like judge you and be mean and like tell you that you're doing everything wrong." I was just like, this isn't what music is supposed to be. I mean, maybe I'll never be able to be on stage because I really do hate people looking at me, but yeah, it's awfully frustrating. It's even more frustrating being told by terrible psychologists like Hanel Saba that, I take things too seriously and I'm um, too like internal and I need to be more external instead of just accepting that she's a really bad psychologist. And like she was hiding in her house for 3 years because of COVID. Like she lives in the fucking suburbs. How are you gonna get COVID going to the park with your kids? Like you're being fucking stupid. But also like she was essential to the Be Brave Ranch project where Lori children basically ruined someone's PhD because she was being a bitch, as she is. Um, and like it was a published research paper in the Journal of Psychiatric Medicine or Adolescent Psychiatry. But unless you have more published papers to back up your first published paper, it really doesn't matter because if you're making people not be able to complete their PhD, then you're just a shitty person. Um, I I know that I can't stay here. It's hard, because like it's really expensive to live in London. It's really expensive to live in Paris. Those are the only. I guess I could do Thailand again or study in Bangkok, but it wouldn't be amazing because there just isn't classical music culture there, and there's so much prostitution and so much sex trade there, and so many guns and drugs. Like it's like very surface. Like here, I mean, you see the meth addicts and the crack addicts on the bus now because Barrett Plan or whatever the fuck she is gets out drugs and paraphernalia, like drug use equipment. For their safety, but not for anybody else's safety. Uh, I'm really not a liberal anymore. I'm like a staunch fucking conservative, which is so disappointing because it's liberalism is held up as like a better than. Like if you make no sense, you're better than other people because you believe in trans rights, you believe in gay rights, you believe in racism is shitty. And while I do believe all those things, I also am not here for the rhetoric of things that don't make sense should get funded, or things that are dangerous to people that participate in society should get funded. And I guess that makes me a bad liberal or a common sense person. I don't want to quit, but I know that my computer is running out of batteries. That sucks. Like, totally fucking sucks. I don't ever think that that will ever feel better. And it's not because I'm wishing it on myself. It's like toxic positivity is extremely detrimental to people that actually have trauma histories or have been victims of violent crime or have never been mothered or fathered or cared about in a real way. Like, oh, one more. I don't want to play that. Let's see what I can do in the etudes for the next like 6 minutes. I'll just talk. One. No. Fucking hell. Oh, it's all backwards. That's right. Oh, I hate this. I hate I hate memories of crimes. I hate lazy fucking people. I hate people that don't care. I hate people that post themselves as um, victims of systems when literally they're victimizing themselves by not taking care of themselves. Like, there's a difference between me when I was obese at 180 pounds, being forced on medication that caused me to gain weight, made the flashbacks worse, and made the pain worse because the drugs would cause diarrhea. Um, and then no one would fucking listen to me compared to someone who it's like a fucking pig is 400 fucking pounds. Anyone who gets along with Heather is an instant enemy because these people literally just, you know, they will sell themselves to have a concert for anything, like anything, especially in Calgary. Like, what's the point? It's Calgary. Maybe Toronto. Maybe Montreal. But anyway, I hate those people. I'm fine with hating those people. I think I have to do it hands up. I get so frustrated. Like, it's not just that life isn't fair, it's that it's like life is pain, and there's no way to escape from it unless you're making money and able to live in a city that isn't shit. I think that Boston is actually quite a lot like Edmonton, but maybe not as shitty. I don't know. I anyway. So, of course, I registered extension school. As we all know, I've been there for 3 years. Um, I can't really do the courses very fast because I don't have a lot of money. But also, uh, I a lot of the people seem very gunner. You know, like I'm gonna fix the world by having a speaking company. And I was like, what? How's that fucking help anything? You don't even make any sense. I'm going to be good at what I do, even as you know, as unimportant as music is in contemporary culture. So there's this woman, and I thought it was really funny. She was ranting about the fact that Rihanna didn't get paid for this being pregnant in a red catsuit, uh, dancing on a platform. And like, I don't like heights. I mean, I used to be a pilot, but like, I don't like heights that don't seem to be safe. I'm a terrible dancer. Terrible. Like, I'll own that. I'm a terrible dancer. I've taken lots of lessons from some of the best in the underground scene in Europe, but like the underground hip hop scene, crump, hip hop, popping, locking, new vogue. I'm terrible at it. Terrible. But this woman was like, Rihanna didn't even get paid. I was like, Rihanna's worth 1.7 billion fucking dollars. Why would it matter if she got paid? Like, she's here to front a bad makeup company. The Fenty is really hard to apply. And again, I used to have darker skin because I've been in Alberta so long, I turned more white. And conservative, apparently. Um, but the makeup is actually not very good quality. The coloring of the makeup is exquisite. It's good coloring for brown people, black people, darker people. But yeah. So this woman was like, this is how much they don't value singers. And I was like, no. Like, she used her platform to make money. And so she made makeup. And she dated some billionaires in, Dubai. And I don't know if she was in Saudi, but, Emirates, Oman, Qatar. big business people. I'm not actually sure if she dated into royal families, but like I know them. They're not nice people. I wouldn't deal. I don't deal with them anymore. I did deal with them since 2012, 14, but I don't like them. Um, I just thought it was really funny because I mean, a lot of musicians don't get paid because they're bad. Like, Edmonton is a place where you can excel at being super fucking bad and super fucking toxic. You know the fish guy, Gowski or whatever the fuck his name was? He was one of the worst misogynists in the 90s, writing for that fucking stupid newspaper at the university. And the fucking shit that he would write. And of course, now he's on staff, or he was on staff at the Edmonton. And his wife, I mean, why the fuck would you take that name, first of all? But like, you're a shitty person. And like, that is what is considered leadership here. I would prefer not to be a leader here. I would prefer to be mediocre in a big city. I don't think that I will be mediocre. I think that once I have the funding to be able to do stuff, um, and it's funded by me because I've applied to all of the arts grants, Alberta and Edmonton, and they're like, you don't even have a master's degree, like from the fucking U of A in music. Are you fucking kidding me? That's like telling you that I spent money on something that isn't even a thing. Why would I do that to myself? That's stupid. Um, but they were like, you don't know anyone here. I'm like, well, I mean, I could get people to write me letters from abroad, but you guys wouldn't even fucking know who they are, even though they're world class musicians abroad. Um, yeah. Anyway, I have applied for so many of those stupid things, and at this point, I'm just like, you know what? I'll just fucking find my own shit. I'll just, say I was once in Edmonton. Edmonton's a shithole. Don't move there if you're talented. Don't move there if you can make more money in Calgary. Don't move there if you can make more money in Toronto, Montreal. I don't like Vancouver. There's too many Asians, but so I wouldn't move there, and it's too dreary. Like, not there. Both like Oriental Asians who are like always gunning and always A types and always so competitive but not actually talented, both in music and in business, and so like infiltrated by like nasty behavior. But also like East Indians, because when I'm there, people speak to me in Urdu, Hindi, and Marathi. I don't necessarily understand it anymore because I was raised on it, but like, it's not what I speak. Um, and while it's partly my culture, I'm like, I don't really like Indian food. I don't like hot, spicy things at all. I like tasting hot, spicy things. Yeah, don't move here. Don't move here. Cynthia, you need to leave. Cynthia, you need to leave this shithole. David's a fine landlord. I owe him like $4,000 because I was paying my roommate's bills when I was in Halifax, and she still owes me money, and she's pretending that she was helping me, and that makes me really fucking angry when people lie. So I just cut off everybody. It's really hard, like making supposed friends, and then they don't actually turn out to be friends. It's 1:40. I've probably spent an hour of this being mad. It's good. I have an interview today at 1:30. I'm gonna come back to this later today. I can practice as much as I want now. I have a roommate that's gonna come stay with me for the next 3 months. She's a kid. She's like 23. She's gonna move to Europe, which is super fantastic. I'm not sure if she was born up north, but like she's from up north Fartmarkish, which is a terrible place to have to grow up. I mean, if Edmonton is bad, holy fucking hell, Alberta would be even worse. This is Cynthia Ganga Soprano. Cynthia sings classical, telling you how much she hates Edmonton and being told that she's delusional because she has pain from being raped 14 years ago. Thank you for your day. I'm gonna practice. Maybe I won't be so mad in a few hours when I have had